Okay, welcome everyone to our Wordplay Creative Writing event to showcase the work of participants in this program. This program is run by the Center for Independent Living in Toronto and also Vibrant Healthcare Alliance. We would like to begin with a land acknowledgement, acknowledging that we are all joining virtually, so we may be on different treaty lands, but CILT and Vibrant Healthcare Alliance are located in Toronto, which is the territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. Because this event is about telling stories, we want to acknowledge the history of Indigenous stories being silenced or missed. We want to affirm the importance of hearing and sharing these stories. We acknowledge that the intersection of disability with indigeneity and other marginalized identities can lead to further silencing of stories of lived experience. And we are so glad to have all of you joining us today to hear our writers share their stories. So my name is Rebecca Wood. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the peer support and parenting with a disability support network at the Center for Independent Living. I'm also a writer. I write poetry and creative nonfiction, often related to bodies and lived experience with disability. For those of you who don't know, the Center for Independent Living in Toronto is a disability-led, community-based resource. We are just coming up on our 40th anniversary and have some events coming up to celebrate that milestone. We are rooted in the independent living movement, which is founded on the belief that people with disabilities are experts in our own needs. And we have a right to live with dignity in our chosen communities, participate in all aspects of our lives, and control and make decisions about our own lives. And we have been running this program in partnership with Vibrant Healthcare Alliance. And so I want to introduce my colleague, Lucy Costa-Nyman, to introduce herself and also talk a bit about Vibrant.
So hi everybody, my name is Lucy Costa-Nyman. I'm the principal coordinator at Vibrant Healthcare Alliance. We are a community health center located at Young and Eglinton, and we see people with physical disabilities in the GTA and seniors and youth in the local area. We also have a housing component which provides 24-hour attending care at 3 locations across the city for people living in the community with disabilities. And we were very excited partnering with CILT for this program.
Thank you so much, Lucy. It's been a really lovely collaboration working together. Lucy and I have run several groups and programs, and I was very excited that we got to do this. So it works out very well that this week happens to be National Accessibility Week in Canada. The theme for the week is disability inclusion from possibilities to practice. And this event today is the culmination of our 6-week Wordplay Creative Writing program that focused on stories of people with marginalized genders with disabilities. And these are groups that have been excluded. So this program explored writing as a form of creative expression, rooted in the ways that lived experience of disability informs both how we write and what we write about. We co-created an accessible writing space in our weekly Zoom meetings where our minds and bodies were welcome, and we shared and supported access needs throughout the entire program together. And it was not hard to do. Some of the magic of this space was the interplay between our commonalities and our differences. Disability was always included because it's always a part of our daily lived experience. And every week we used a variety of writing prompts to welcome ourselves into playing with words. And we practiced sharing our writing with each other. And I'm really excited that this group wanted to share their work with all of you. So we're going to shift into the reading portion of today. We have Amy Ray Miller, Betsy, Cat Peever, Audrey K, and hopefully Jennifer Conroy joining us as well. One of our members, Maverick, was not able to be here today, but I want to acknowledge that they were an important part of this group throughout. For many of our readers, this is the first time they will be reading in front of an audience, which is very exciting. So please feel free to use the chat throughout to give them some love. After each reader, I'm going to ask them a question about their process and give them a chance to tell us a bit more about that. And then at the very end, we can unmute and applaud and give some woohoos. We'll stop the recording and then we can have some informal turn on our cameras, say hello, say goodbye moments. So I would like to start with our first reader, Cat Peever, who is going to read two poems for us, one called Over There and one called Resilience Lives Here.
Over there. I got the blind woman blues. This I gotta say, I got the blind woman blues. You could help someone someday. If only you could say where over there is. Well, I can find my way around if I know where I'm starting from. I can identify people by the sound of how their footsteps drum. I can cook up a storm in my own familiar kitchen, but the reason why I'm doing all this moaning and bitching is 'cause I can't see worth a swear. Where, oh bloody, bloody where? Over there is. Resilience lives here. Resilience lives here in the supplements that migrate in and out of the kitchen drawers. Resilience lives in my spice rack and with the onions, ginger, and garlic in the hanging basket, though often I'm unable to cook. Resilience lives here in the messages written on the bathroom mirror and the quotes from what I've read and listened to, written all over the wall by the toilet, so I won't forget their truth, wisdom, and inspiration. Resilience lives in the constantly updated list of weights with dates that ebb and rise like the tides. Resilience lives in the stack of books contained in my Kobo reader on the bedside table, and it dangles with the feathers on the dream catcher over my bed. It lurks in Kitty's blanket fort at the foot of the bed, where he can hide until he feels brave once more. Resilience lives in the pile of Sudoku books on the shelf that still have blank puzzles at the back where they're difficult, because I'm getting better at it. And maybe one day I'll be able to do them too. It lives in the clutter of broken things that need fixing and the torn or buttonless things that need mending, waiting for the day when I have enough bodily control to attend to them. Resilience lives in the walker with the white cane in a holster mount on the handles, because I've learned how to walk blind with a walker, and this gives me the confidence to keep on walking. Resilience lives in the string of Tibetan bells that decorates my doorway, conferring blessings to all who enter or who dwell here, because maybe that's just silly, but it does no harm to anyone, and I love the sound of them. But most of all, resilience lives inside me. Because each time there's more bad news, and I feel like I just want to give up hope, climb into a black hole, and pull the hole in after me. I find a tiny spot of light in the darkness, and that tiny spot of light reignites the desire to keep on carrying on until things get better once again. And they usually do. Because life really is very big. And when something gets taken away, there's still a whole lot left to rush in and fill that empty place and to make my heart lift in gladness if I let it. Yes, resilience lives here.
Beautiful, Cat. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing those pieces. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what inspired that writing that you shared?
Well, the first one, about where over there is, was inspired by the CNIB, Canadian National Institute for the Blind, and the Toronto Transit Commission deciding that blind people should use Presto cards. And it's a little different than what we used to have, because before we would just show the driver and our fare was paid. But now we have to hit a target, that little green box. And the first day was incredibly frustrating because I didn't know where the little green boxes were. And I spent the whole day being told, over there, right there. And I have no doubt that this is an experience common to a lot of people living with vision loss. It did leave me stressed out, and I needed to find a way to put that stress to bed, and laughter is the best medicine. The second one was from an exercise as part of the wordplay course. And one of the things we were challenged to do on this course was bring disability into our writing, and to do it in a way that was positive, that wasn't a war story. And that led me to looking around my home, which was a lovely exercise. And what I found there was resilience. So that's how both of those pieces came about, and I really enjoyed the experience of writing them both. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Kat. I think it's so great to that feeling of sometimes just getting a poem out when you're having that feeling of frustration can be really, really useful. And yeah, finding ways that in your poem about resilience living here, there's both the positive of resilience and then the need for resilience, and both exist so beautifully in that piece. So thank you so much for sharing those with us. Wonderful. Our next reader is Betsy, and Betsy's going to read her piece, Dear Walker.
Okay. Dear Walker, we met recently, and not because I wanted to meet you, but because I needed to. I thought our life together would start much later. I felt sad and overwhelmed by your presence, having to face you before I felt ready to. And here you are, now a permanent part of my life. Never far from my side, your large wheels travel over the ground, and sturdy handlebars help me to continue moving through the world. Your uncomfortable seat provides me a place to sit when my legs just can't stand any longer. You provide me with a spot to put things I can't carry and something sturdy to press my weight on when I've fallen and need help getting up off the ground. You are all black with red balls on the brake handles. I am itching to dress you up and to make you more my own. Walker, here's what I need you to know. Right now, I have a love-hate relationship with you. You are cumbersome and bulky. I can no longer manage aspects of my life as easily as I could before I needed you. However, you also provide me with stability and safety. I'm able to function better in the world because of you, but I am saddened that I need you. I don't want to need your help. You are just a tool, and I'm learning to love you and not feel you are a burden. This is what happens next, Walker. You and I become a package deal. Wherever I go, you come with me. We become the best of friends rather than someone I tolerate. Please continue to support me and keep me moving through the world. I promise I will take good care of you and give you the respect you deserve. You give me independence I could not have otherwise. You give me refuge and safekeeping. You give me peace of mind and the courage to keep going. Thank you, Walker, for being patient with me as I learn to love you. Thank you for not getting frustrated with me when I didn't want to need you. Thank you for letting me figure out our relationship and learn for myself it was a full-time one and not a see you when I see you. You and me, we're in this together now.
Yay, Betsy, thank you so much for reading that piece today. Why did this particular piece feel important to share?
It's what I'm going through right now. Like, it's extremely of the moment. It's what I'm working through as I have to use it more and more. It felt very fresh, and that's why I feel like it was important to share.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was really beautiful to be able to hear this piece evolve and hear where it started. And I think this is a very relatable topic, trying to
Yeah.
figure out the complicated relationship with mobility aids is
Yes, I know we had discussions about that when I first started writing it, that many of us in our group can relate to the experience of a love-hate relationship to the mobility aids. And yeah, this piece has gone through a few changes and things, but yeah, that's where I'm at now, is just sort of like, I'm moving towards love, but I'm not 100% there yet. So
yeah. Well, thank you so much for reading that to us today. I really appreciate it. Lovely. Audrey, are you ready to read next? I'll just wait a second.
Okay.
Great.
I'm
So
gonna read.
this is Audrey K, who is going to read Continuity and a piece called The Meltdown.
Okay. I'm going to do Meltdown first. We met many years ago. I can't remember where or when exactly, but I was attracted to you, to your softness, your contours and malleability. How easy it was to slip into your ways whenever we went out together. There were no rough spots or irritation. I wanted you with me all the time. I still wish I could go where you spent your time and just say, so here you are. But regrettably, I can't. You long ago disappeared from my life, and quite dramatically too. Here's what you need to know. You never said a nasty word to me, never argued or became disagreeable. You were always just there where I last left you, waiting to indulge me yet again. It was so distressing if I forgot about you or left you behind. Oh my, you're so sorely missed. Our last trip together was to Wipanenish Beach on the edge of the Pacific Ocean. It was freezing cold that day, with a biting frigid wind and thunderous crashing of waves as the sun disappeared below the horizon. You did your absolute best to keep me warm, especially my feet, which usually suffer the most. We spotted logs arranged in a circle around the remnants of a campfire. A fire was built, I asked someone to put my feet up on the logs. The fire crackled and glowed, the piney fragrant odor of wood smoke penetrating the air. Soon a trail of thicker, acrid smoke was spotted. It was coming from the log where my feet were. Your shoes are melting, somebody yelled. It was true. Alas, my best buddy ever was gradually going up in a whiff of smoke. The soles of my lovely blue shoes were disappearing rather dramatically. The other one is a poem called Continuity. Sentinels, solemn, silent, in a vast sunlit field standing together. 1,000 ethereal orbs, fragile, soft, translucent, lit from within, and waiting. Spring summoned you first. Golden carpets of brilliance subduing the winter-weary earth. Short weeks ago, it seems, you beckoned, offered, provided child-picked yellow posies for Mom, sustenance for food and wine, and hope for continuity. Now you're spent, your golden crowns transformed to perfect sunlit globes, waving gently on tall, slender stalks, seeds of love and hope within, watching, waiting for the quiet nudge of a gentle breeze that lifts and carries all that you were, weightlessly, effortlessly to other spheres of existence.
Beautiful, Audrey. Thank you so much for sharing those pieces. Oh, I love the effortless ethereal spheres in that poem. Do you want to tell us a bit about what was the most meaningful part of writing these pieces for you?
The first piece, it was a technique I'd never heard of called hide and reveal, about an object or a thing. And it was such fun to write and to do, to kind of create a puzzle that will keep the reader reading. So that was fun. And then the second piece was written in a field of dandelions that had now very quickly turned into the ghostly orbs that they do before the wind takes the little parachuted seeds off. And I was very struck by how perfectly formed they all were. Even though they were on their way out, it was like the magic of nature. So I sat there and I felt like writing a poem. And the reason was, in the last couple of weeks, there's been a number of deaths of relatively young people. And I really had the thought that in nature, whether it's a tree, a plant, or a person, life is really never over. It just transforms into another kind of thing and then goes on and leaves bits of themselves, whether it's words or wisdom or whatever. So that was why I ended up writing that.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Audrey. Yeah, another lovely example of poems kind of appearing to you. And I love both the inspiration story and of where the writing came from, and that you took the time to sit and do the writing to capture it, because I think it is really captured beautifully in that piece.
I've never written poetry before, except for when with children. which is kind of fun and it's different.
I wouldn't have guessed that, Audrey. That's the first time you've mentioned that, and I think you have such beautiful poetic descriptions. I wouldn't have guessed that it's not a typical activity for you.
No, it's not. And the daughter of a friend of mine died in 3 weeks from cancer. So this is going to be, well, it's going to be read at another service that they're having. And then my niece was the other one. And this is going to be put in her coffin, I think. So it's very meaningful to me.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that with all of us. I think it is a very meaningful piece, and I'm glad your words are going to be shared and give comfort as well. Thanks, Audrey.
Thank you. The group's been such fun.
Good. Wonderful. I'm so glad you're with us here today. I'm going to check with Lucy if Jennifer has arrived.
Jennifer hasn't arrived.
Okay.
I'm wondering, Rebecca,
Yeah.
if you mute me, I could go check my voice now.
Sure.
You mute me?
Yes, I will make sure that you're muted. We are going to move on to Amy Ray, and Amy Ray is if Jennifer doesn't arrive, Amy Ray is our final reader. So we may wrap up early today. But so let's shift over to Amy Ray Miller, who is going to read us 2 poems, one called Independent and one called Love Language. You're muted, Amy Ray, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Can everybody hear me? Yeah, okay. Just for like spelling purposes, so the title of this poem, Independent, the IN is in brackets, and then dependent is a capital letter D at the beginning of the word. The shower used to be my solitude. I'd lose track of where my tears met the water, watch them blend together and disappear down the drain. Now, if they fell, they would be caught by the hands of my support worker. New hands all the time, curtain pulled wide, being called wrong names and wrong genders and soaking up all the isms so freely spoken as if my shower floor were their podium. I am left an unwilling audience member, constrained by my own body. People don't understand the isolation that occurs when you rely on other people for the basis of your survival. People don't understand how hard it is to not be able to leave your bed or your driveway, despite how bad you want to or need to. I fight every day while simultaneously feeling like I am watching the days slip away. I watch the seasons change and fade from the outside of my window. I watch my dreams feel swallowed. I am the kind of person who always wants to fly, always wants to find the dance floor. I feel picked up by pleasant interactions with strangers in coffee shops. I want to hold the hands of people I've yet to meet. I see beauty all around me, and all that is tangible in my reality is the walls of my home, the examination tables, the home visits that fill a slot in my whole calendar, 5 days a week. I just want to sit at the water in the grass by myself, bring a notebook and a reading book and just soak it in. I want to get there by myself when it feels good to me. I want to leave when I'm ready and not have to plan around several people at any given time. It is so simple, and yet it feels so unobtainable. The next piece is called Love Language. They tell me being disabled can't be a love language, as if I do not soak it into the essence of what I give and what I get. but also as if disabled on disabled love isn't the sweetest shit I've ever felt. Hand in hand, pulling you in your manual with me in my power chair, joint supports and spoon polishing. They tell me being disabled can't be a love language, except interabled love tells me differently. They installed hooks on the walls of their homes to support your IV medication. They call to check access barriers, things they have never considered, but you watch them skip no beats. My partner gets swooned, gets called a saint, as they ask them questions directed for me, and they bounce that right back. They tell me being disabled can't be a love language, but he literally knows my meds more than I do, sorts them into days of the week boxes every week, the kind of love that has kept me alive, the deepest trust I have ever felt. They show up, home cooked meals to your hospital bed, place their hands on your shoulder, even if you are fast asleep. They don't care. Project Runway repeats or vice versa. Queer crippled love intricacies. My disability is a love language. I write love poems for her in bed. We call each other, fall in love through a computer screen. We cry through a phone screen and we hug each other. 2 beds, 2 worlds apart, speaking in a language I have only just given myself permission to speak and to know. Being disabled is a love language. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amy Ray. I love those pieces. Can you tell us a little bit about what the process was like in writing these poems?
Yeah, so I picked these poems specifically because they're so opposite from each other, but also in a way that a lot of us can probably relate to. Like the two parallels exist so seamlessly a lot of the times in our life. And when I wrote the first piece, I was going through a lot of physical changes. And so there was a lot of new adaptations into my life, and I really needed to rely on support people more than I was familiar with, and more than I wanted to be. And it's a big transition, and sometimes we go through those transitions multiple times, and you can't always pick what you get, and that's where that first piece came from. And the second piece, love language, I really wanted to smash the stigmas that come with, first of all, like being a disabled person and having any sort of dating life or like deep loves that want to show up for you. And it's this skewed perception, and you know, I'm seen as less than of my partners often. And I just wanted to highlight my experience in this, and the ways that being disabled specifically shows up in the way that I move through these relationships, and how special that is.
Amazing. Yeah, I think you captured that incredibly well in this piece. And I really appreciate that in both of your pieces, you're very seamlessly holding the both, that the love language is a language you are also learning to speak, and that the independence is also a learning process. And so I love the way that you move through the transitions and you move through the complexity, and you really capture and describe the simultaneity of it all. I'm so glad that you shared those pieces with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This is a very lovely space to be a part of.
Amazing. Great. Okay, let's check with Lucy if she's here in case there's news about Jennifer.
Yeah, there's no news.
Okay. All right. Well, we will continue on then. I really, really appreciate all of you readers being brave and experimenting and exploring with reading to an audience today. I am so thrilled that we got to do this. I want to thank Kat for her pieces over there and resilience, Betsy for her piece Dear Walker, Audrey K for her pieces The Meltdown. And continuity, and Amy Ray for their pieces, independent and love language. I could not help myself but to write a poem inspired by this class and this group. And so I'm going to wrap us up by reading the piece that these folks inspired. What a joy to play in the secret language of disability, of bodies and rest and possibility and creativity, without pressure of explaining our experience to an ableist world, without a sense that communicating daily life stories is a trade for access or an invitation to inspiration. Writing together, noticing what images bloom and what feels good on the page, making space for stories that mean something to us, writing our words and our worlds with our tools and aids and strategies, our pain and progress, our joys and challenges, the complexity of all of them existing simultaneously, words and stories and reflections and imaginings. As a group, disability is not one thing, access is not one thing, and still we catch the meaning in the musings that might be missed. We see ourselves in another's words about waiting for attendance, or the way relationships with mobility, hearing, visual aids change over time, the way our minds and bodies are ours, the way we move through the world, exploring and expanding meaning. What a pleasure to play with words in this exceptional multiplicity. What a delight in this knowing together. Thank you everyone for coming to support our writers today. I'm going to invite everyone to unmute and give some applause and woohoo, and then we'll stop the recording, but don't feel you have to leave right away. Yay, everyone.
Well
Yay.
done.
Well done.
Yay.
Great job. Great job.
Woohoo.
Excellent. Good job.
Amazing.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone.
And I want to say that it was such an honor being a part of this group. It was a group that really came together very quickly. And it was incredible being a part of it. Thank you.
Thanks, Lucy. Thanks, everyone, for coming.